Hopes that Iran was preparing to soften its stance on compulsory hijab were stamped out this week when President Raisi said the law would be strictly enforced. It follows months of anti-regime protests and a brutal response by security forces. Hundreds of people have been killed, several young men were executed, others are still on death row, and many thousands of Iranians are languishing in jail. Well, my next guest was jailed in Tehran's notorious Evin prison for several months back in 2009. Her crime? Being a Christian. Marzi Amirizadeh is here with me in the studio to talk about her experiences. Thank you very much indeed for being with us. And first of all, welcome to Israel, because I know it is your first time here, and I know as well it's always been a dream of yours to come here and visit the holy sites. What has been your experience so far?
Yeah, as you mentioned, it was a dream for many years because I'm a Christian, and Israel is so precious to me as a Christian, because Jesus was a Jew, and this is the land of many great prophets of Bible, and God loves Israel and Israeli people because they are chosen people by God. And I really wanted to visit this land, and finally I got to visit Jerusalem.
Lots of people say they have a special feeling when they come here, especially people who have strong religious beliefs. Is that your experience? You told me you've already been to Jerusalem.
Yeah, it was in this early morning that I arrived, and immediately I visited Jerusalem. And as soon as my airplane landed, my tears comes down because it's very spiritual and special to me, this great country.
Oh, that's wonderful to hear. And you've been living in the United States for many years now.
For almost 11 years.
You're clearly enjoying life today. It's wonderful to see. If I could take you back to 2009, a horrific experience. You were jailed in Evin prison, as I mentioned. Can you tell us what happened? What led to you being there?
Yeah, more than 20 years ago, I converted to Christianity. A lot of miracles happened, and I gave my heart to Jesus. And I was very active as a Christian, talking about my faith with people. And because of those activities, they arrested us. But the main issue was our faith in Jesus. The main charges was apostasy, which is punishable by death under Sharia law. And I was sentenced to death by hanging.
You were sentenced to death? And what happened?
Because of lots of international pressures, like Amnesty International got involved. Pope from Vatican sent a letter to government on behalf of me and my friend who were together, and many Christians started advocating for us. They protested again in front of embassy in UK. And because of all those pressures, they had to release us. Otherwise, I wouldn't be alive. That's why I believe international pressures is very important.
Well, thank goodness that you're here to tell the tale today. What is the status for Christians in Iran then? Because it is a recognized religion, right?
A Christianity?
Yes.
They are minorities, and they consider Christians and other religious minorities as second-class citizens. It's not just Christians, Baha'is, Jews, everyone getting persecuted because of their faith.
Do you think the persecution is worse right now, given the ongoing situation with the protests?
Yeah, because they arrested many people, and they charge them with political charges because they know if they wanted to put them in prison and execute them, like my case, they know that there will be lots of international pressures. That's why they arrest them and put them in prison and charge them with spying and other political charges in order to keep them in prison for many years.
So a lot of innocent people languishing in Iranian jails right now. You were actually taken to the detention center that Mahsa Amini was taken to, the woman whose death sparked the current protests.
Yeah, that's a small detention center, but honestly, that's an underground dungeon. I was there for 14 days, and you can't see anything, and it's no one can see that place. There is no air, no light. They throw food at you, and I had to sleep on a cold concrete floor, cover myself with wet blankets that were soaked in urine. And later I understood why the blankets were soaked, because they locked the cells doors from 8 p.m. until 8 in the morning, so prisoners could not control themselves. The guards usually humiliate you by forcing you to be naked right in front of their eyes.
Male guards?
No, women guards. But I was thrown with other, women like prostitutes and many women who got arrested by morality police, and they usually keep prisoners like 2, maximum 3 days, and then the court would decide if they go to another prison or get released. But they kept me and my friend for 14 days intentionally in order to put more pressure on us. And the first judge told us, I will make sure you get executed. And he actually pushed the case for execution.
Goodness me. And I mean, you've gone really from the depths of hell, as you've described it there. You've gone on to write 2 books, Captive in Iran, your first book, and A Love Journey with God, a second book about your personal faith. You work in politics in the United States. You have a great life there now. You've really gone from one extreme to another.
Yeah, I ran as a candidate for a state house last year. I couldn't win the election because my district was very democratic. I ran as a Republican. But yeah, I'm involved in politics, and I also try to be a voice for Iranian people because of, my experience. I experienced the brutality of the Iranian regime firsthand, and I can share a lot of things about, what's happening in Iranian prisons. And coming to Israel, to me, I wanted to send a message of love, unity, and friendship to people and to the world that, for many years, the Iranian regime tried to undermine the great friendship between Iranian people, Iran, and the good people of Israel. And many people do not know about the history, and they cover the truth. And but I want the world to know that this regime, people are chanting in the streets that this regime is not representative of people. And Iranian people, majority of Iranian people do not have any issue with Israel and Israeli people. We love Israel, and especially as a Christian, I love Israel because God loves Israel.
Well, and that has been the message actually from the Israeli leadership over the years. We have no problem with the Iranian people. Our problem is with the Iranian regime. Do you think that people in Iran are aware of that support? Does it mean something to them?
I believe the great awakening has started in Iran because for many years the regime tried to indoctrinate kids by forcing them to go to demonstration and chanting "Death to Israel, Death to America." They try to demonize Israel to people, to tell the world that, to tell them that Israel is the enemy of all Muslims and Palestinians. But this is not the truth, and I'm glad that people could see the truth. And if you listen to the protests and the slogans of people are saying that our true enemy is the regime, is you, not America and Israel. And that's a great awakening, that people refuse to set fire in the flags of America and Israel. They refuse to step on the flag because ordinary people, honestly, have no problem with the rest of the world. It's just the regime, and they wanted to tell the world that this criminal regime is not our representative.
And just very briefly, do you think that the current protests can overthrow the regime?
Definitely, we have hope, and they know that majority of people do not support them. They try to survive, to tell lies and use different ways to survive. But I think women of Iran are the big group are going to overthrow this regime because they were the groups that were under so much pressure and women's rights violations. That's why when you look at the protests, you see that women are leading most of the protests in Iran.
Iranian women are certainly leading the way, aren't they? Marzi, Amirizadeh, it was wonderful to talk to you. Enjoy the rest of your trip to Israel, and thank you so much for being with us. Thank you.